Good evening. I'm Sally Buemi, the third selectman here in North Haven, and welcome to Speaking Freely with Sally. The purpose of my show is to highlight all of the great people who are doing wonderful things in our town to make it a better community. I like to highlight nonprofit organizations and unique businesses in town. So we're taping this on April 2nd, and a couple of weeks ago I was wondering what could I do for an early April show, and the only thing that came to my mind was baseball. So I decided to focus this show on baseball. So tonight I am very fortunate to have as my guest Mike Proto. There he is, Mike. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. He was a great star at North Haven High School. Him and I were 1 year apart. I was 74, he was 75. And so I watched you play. I watched you pitch many games. So I am so thrilled to have you here. I've been told by the guys that run Maxinaway that nobody knows more about baseball than Mike Proto. So it is truly a privilege to have one of North Haven's finest baseball players, and we have had a lot of great baseball players here in North Haven, with me tonight to talk about baseball. So I thought I would start off by talking about Maxinaway, which is a nonprofit dedicated to giving North Haven kids the opportunity to learn and play Little League baseball. So I just wanted everyone to know that opening day for Maxinaway is going to be on Saturday, April 26th at 9:30, starting at 9:30 in the morning at the Monoese Park. So stop by and enjoy the festivities. So Mike, tell me a little bit about your experiences with Little League and your recollections of opening day.
Well, I played baseball from the time I was 8 years old. And, I went all the way through Little League, 10 years old and all the way through 12-year-old. We played at a place called Heaton Field, which was in the center of town where the library is now. And it was just a phenomenal experience. The league is named after Maxinaway, and there's a reason for that. Because Maxinaway, I believe, was a retired attorney, but in any event, he was retired, and he would actually come down to Heaton Field. He had a press box, and he would announce your name when you were going up to bat.
Right.
And it was just quite an experience. And Maxinaway himself, just the consummate gentleman, and he always made you feel like you were very special.
I remember Mr. Sinaway very well. I'm sure a lot of people don't know who he is, but they know the name from the popularity of Little League. But you and I know who he was. I just remember going there every night and hearing my friends introduced, and it was kind of like Bob Shepard at Yankee Stadium.
Absolutely.
And that's how you kids must have felt.
We did. I mean, it was just such a special experience. And if you talk to anyone that's in my age group or even maybe a little bit older, they will tell you that playing at Heaton Field was just a very special thing. It was a covered stand, and we had the idea that we were playing at like Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park.
Right. Well, that's why I mentioned Bob Shepard.
Yeah.
But going back to Maxinaway, have you been to their opening day ceremony of late?
I have. I've been there twice. I think there was one time in maybe 2021 when I went there, and I was there at last year's ceremony, and it is impressive. I came away both days saying that baseball is alive and well in North Haven. I know that a lot of towns have been struggling getting kids involved, but if you go down on opening day, it's really a spectacle. It's a phenomenal experience.
Right, and they really do a nice ceremony. They have a little band there, and local elected officials are there. Mr. Frieda throws out the first pitch. It's quite a thing. Maxinaway Little League, or North Haven Little League in general, is going into their 74th season. Last year, you were talking about trouble keeping the league going. Not here in North Haven. Last year they had 600 kids, 50 teams. Kids were in 7 different divisions, from T-ball to senior Babe Ruth. So I am looking forward to opening day. I will be there along with the other members of the Board of Selectmen. And like Mike just said, it shows that North Haven baseball is alive and well. So tell me a little bit more about the different divisions. I know they go as little as T-ball, where I would assume they're just trying to teach the basics. So what can you tell me about the divisions?
Initially, you began basically at 8 years old. And because of that, I ran a camp that started kids at 6 years old to get them exposed to baseball. And I did that for quite a few years. And then, what basically happened is Max Sinoway said, okay, we get the idea of what you're looking for and what we should be doing. And they actually took on the younger age group. So it was just something that, they saw the need to begin a little bit younger. And I saw at my camp, like, even though the kids were like 5 and 6 years old, boy, there was a lot of excitement, and the kids were, really good. And believe it or not, you could tell even at that age, certain kids just had a natural talent, and if they chose to develop it, they were going to be great players.
Right. So that's interesting. So back when you were in Little League, which was in the late 60s, it wasn't quite as, they didn't quite go as young, but maybe through your camp, Mr. Sinoway saw that need and they started bringing them in younger. So
yeah, they did. And so, it was a great experience. Absolutely.
Right. And I'm sure you've been over to Montoise Park. It's a great facility, all volunteers. There's, I think, 3 60-foot smaller fields, and then there's a Babe Ruth field. What other amenities do they have there?
Well, they've made a lot of improvements there through the years. Through the years, the one thing that has been a hallmark for Max Sinoway Little League is basically that you had a lot of people who were really donating their time and really were selfless in working with the young kids, and that's a big part of it. And that really, of course, stems from the very beginning when the first Little League started, and I think it was 1951. A group of people got together, and probably mostly men that had been through World War II, and they wanted a better life for their child. And Little League baseball was just beginning, and they had this idea that they were going to actually build a state-of-the-art field, which they really did with Heaton Field.
Right, that's right. We'll talk a little bit more about Heaton Field in a minute. But the Max Sinoway fields there at Montoise Park, I think, are in really great shape. My office is right in front of them. I've been seeing them out there every day working. They haven't cut the fields yet, but I'm sure they will soon in preparation for opening day. There's a nice concession stand there, a playscape. So there's lots of things for kids to do there. They have batting cages. I spoke with both Gerard O'Connor and A.J. Wambalt, president and vice president, just the most dedicated individuals who are just working so hard to give today's North Haven kids the best opportunity to play baseball. And I got to say, A.J. Wambalt had a lot of positive things to say about you, Mr. Proto. I guess you coached him?
I coached.
He said
I coached
that you changed
AJ.
his life.
Well, that's great. That's really what you look for as a coach. It goes way beyond wins and losses. You're really, trying to be an example to kids, and you're trying to lead them on a good path where they're going to make a positive difference in the world. That's what a great coach does. And AJ, I can remember when he played for me for freshman baseball, and great player, and great kid, and that's part of it. You have to have kids that are going to be responsive, and basically in North Haven we have always had hard-nosed, kids that just were very responsive to coaches, and it was a great experience. So yeah, I appreciate the kind words that AJ had. That's
He did.
great.
And as I said, I remember watching you pitch in some really big games, and you were spectacular.
Thank you.
I think that all sports, especially team sports like baseball, are really essential as kids are growing up, a foundation for kids. They provide a great foundation for learning important skills and values, teamwork, cooperation, dedication, listening and getting along with coaches, teammates, and opponents, all important skill sets that will help them in their future no matter what they do.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
Well,
that had an impact on you.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's so important. My son Ryan went to West Point, and they insist that the students who go to West Point, they must play a sport of some sort. So that's the value that they put on it. And certainly the idea of the development of character, integrity. I just read an article yesterday about the importance of everyone playing a sport, some sport. Doesn't have to be baseball, it could be any sport. But because of what you're talking about, all those values, and in some ways, this is what builds, young boys and girls to be responsible adults, and that's what we're after.
Well, speaking of girls, girls softball is also starting and has a great tradition. I have to say, I went to North Haven High School, and I was a varsity softball player, and I played the spring of '73, my junior year. I played on the first recognized varsity softball team with the Housatonic League. I think we were a club before that, but we played in the old Housatonic, which you played in. And so softball taught me so much. I played for 41 years, from 10 to 4, till I was 51. I stopped playing North Haven Rec softball. So I understand what you're saying about what you learn playing a team sport. At the end of the show, we're going to put the website for Maxinaway on the screen. So if any of you out there want to volunteer for this fantastic organization, consider being a sponsor. We'll have the website on the screen later. But I did want to talk a little bit more about Heaton Field, which we've already talked about, but I want to go more into the history of it. So what can you tell us about when it started, how it came about, where it came from, the land came from, and everything that you know about Heaton Field?
Back in I think it was like 1950, what you had was the Heaton family, I believe it was Mr. Heaton's daughters, donated the land to the town for the purpose of a library. Now, at that time, the population in North Haven was only, like we said, around 9,000 people.
In 1950, it was about 9,500. Yeah.
And, there was really no need for a larger library. And a group of men got together, and they had this idea that they were going to build a facility so that their kids could play Little League Baseball. And they had scrap metal drives. I believe they even sent letters to every person in North Haven asking for donations, and people donated their time. We actually have pictures of the field as it was being constructed. People actually, like 2 stories up, with a hammer and a nail, putting the field together. And for all I could say is that for the young people that played there, it was just very special. But it was the sacrifice of so many of these men and women, who had, they had experienced the Depression, they experienced World War II, and they understood the idea of sacrifice. They understood the idea of selflessness, and what they provided for the kids of North Haven and the whole community of North Haven. You really can't even measure it. It brought all the kids together so that we form bonds that are still in existence today. You know, two guys that I played baseball with from the time I was young, Tom Germain and Frank LaMonica, we were involved with Coach DeMeo's book, and the author who we worked with, Nancy West, she could not believe the bond that Tommy, Frank, and I had. Well, that goes back to Heaton Field. And, you know, but it not only brought the kids together, it also brought the parents together. And it was a meeting place, you know.
Just so that folks who are newer to the town and don't remember Heaton Field, which is most of the people watching us, the old library was on Broadway where the Historical Society is. And so Heaton Field was right where the new library is, and it was across from what was Center School, where we went to school. Now it's the rec center. And you, as you said, it was given by the Heaton family to be a library.
Yeah.
But we didn't need it yet. But you explained to me what we had to do every year.
Every year, the Little League had to basically petition the town and have permission to use the field.
Because it was probably deeded.
For
that purpose.
For a library.
But
you know, so they had to petition the town every year, and you know they did, and really, it ran for about 19 years.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So.
You mentioned having video of folks building it. I was talking to a dear friend of mine a few days ago, Dave Rosadini, another great North Haven baseball player, and he was telling me that his dad helped grade the field and his uncle did some plumbing work. What was the plumbing?
We actually had sunken dugouts, and we actually had a water fountain in each dugout.
Wow, that must have been state of the art.
It was special.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, you know, for people who played on the field, the memories are just unbelievable.
It was a real field of dreams.
It really was.
Yeah.
I was, last spring, I think it was, I brought my grandson, Paul, to the Trolley Museum in East Haven, and it just so happened that one of the conductors was a man from North Haven.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he was pretty old looking, and I was wondering whether I should mention, he was from North Haven, and I said, well, let me ask him about Heaton Field if he remembers it. And his response was incredible. Now, this man was about 85 years old, and when he spoke about Heaton Field, he just perked up. And I said, do you remember Heaton Field? And he said, remember it? I played there. And we went on and we were talking about Heaton Field, and I said, yeah, you know, it was an unbelievable park to play in. And he looked at me and he shook his head, no. And I was wondering what he was going to say. And he said, it was perfect.
There you go.
It was perfect. And that's the feeling, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, fortunately, the Historical Society and First Selectman Mike Frieda got together, and they wanted to basically pay tribute to the field. And if you go to the library today, you will see a home plate approximately where Heaton Field's home plate was, and it was a great ceremony.
Yeah,
and
I was there. It was privileged to be there.
Yeah, it was great, and
Yeah.
You know, from that, you know, commemoration that we had, I kind of made an offhand remark to Mr. Frieda. I said, look, you know, we want to write a book about this field because it meant that much to us. I said, but here's what I would really like. I would love if we could somehow figure out a way to build a replica of Heaton Field down at Montaouise. I mean, and let me just say that, you know, the fields down at Montaouise are great. I mean, that is a great facility, and as I said, the volunteer coaches that have worked there, I mean, it's a quality program. As a testament is the number of kids that you have involved in the program.
Exactly.
And this would be like the cherry on top. And it would really pay tribute to those men and women who sacrificed to make at least my childhood and guys who played in my era. It just made growing up in North Haven a very special experience. And we just like to see the kids now, you know, they're already having a great experience with Max Sinaway, and this would be even better, you know.
Yeah, I think it would be a great way to pay homage to those who planted the seeds for the baseball that we have today, the great baseball at Max Sinaway. From my perspective, I grew up on St. John, so it was a quick bike ride down the hill to get to Heaton Field. So I was there every night. As you said, it had real stands, and they were covered. Underneath the platform where Mr. Sinaway sat to announce the game was a concession stand. You know, I just remember, you know, buying a sky blue popsicle or a soda or an ice cream cone. It had a scoreboard. Did you ever operate the scoreboard? They would get kids to volunteer.
You know, I don't really consciously remember that, but basically if you did that, they gave you an ice cream at the end of the day. And,
well worth it.
And actually, even the numbers that were used on that scoreboard were made by Fred Kelly, and many people would know Fred Kelly, another icon in in North Haven.
Yeah.
He actually made those numbers in his garage. And this is, this is the type of guys that were involved in this field.
Right.
And I really believe that the current people working, who are the officials of Max Sinaway, they're people who are of that, that mindset. That mindset, absolutely.
Determined to give our young people the best experience possible. Well, I used to go down every night on my bike with my best friend. Her name was Becky Bailey. We'd go there to watch our friends. I'd watch Phil Sabiga and Bobby Dorico, the Germines, of course, great ball players, the Chiaris. They were all there, and it was just a thrill for me to just be. I loved baseball. I loved softball. It was just a thrill for me to see my schoolmates play at such a great location, and it was just great. I mean, bikes were everywhere. You know, nobody cared. You'd leave your bike there all day if you were just hanging around the center of town. But you would always go to early evening. There'd always be a game at Heaton Field. It was fantastic.
During the summer, we had a meeting, with Mr. Frieda and the Chiaris that you mentioned, Tommy Chiari and Johnny Chiari. Tommy Chiari used to actually take care of the field, and we used to help him. And that field would look pristine by the time we would play. But Johnny made a great comment. He said that if you weren't playing, you were watching. And that was it. And it, because it was in the center of town, it was a real meeting place for the townspeople, and it helped the community, people to get a sense of community. And I think that's what, guys from my era and maybe a little bit younger, that's what we experienced.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just have, I remember when it was torn down. It was a very sad day.
Yeah.
But what happened was, we talked about the population of North Haven in 1950, right before it was built, just under 10,000. By 1970, it was 22,000 plus. It's only about 24,000 now. It hasn't really grown much in the 55 years, but it had more than doubled in those 20 years. And so they needed a new library because the old one was just bursting, and all the baby boomers we're baby boomers. There were 7 elementary schools back then. So it had to go, and it was a sad day. Like I said when I spoke at the ceremony, I shed a tear that day
Yeah.
because that's how much it meant to me. I would go there early in the day and play with the guys. You know, did you ever play pickup games there?
We played there all the time. And, you know, it's funny, my brother-in-law, Mike Roach, just, he put on Facebook that, you know, playing the games when you were younger, playing baseball, it wasn't about, you know, winning and losing. We're playing sandlot baseball. And one of his friends, Steve Matthew, who lives, I think, in Holland, another great
Yeah,
player.
I remember him.
He actually answered Mike and said, yeah, playing pickup games at Heaton Field. And we used to do that. I mean, we would go down there, we'd get there early in the morning. Sometimes there'd be 10 guys, sometimes there'd be 20. And we played. And
Yeah.
we learned a lot of baseball, and we learned a lot about how to get along when we were there. I mean,
Yeah.
the field was more than just a Little League field that you played official Little League games. We used to play Sandlot down there. In fact,
Yeah.
if you watch the movie The Sandlot, boy, that brought back a lot of memories.
But
And
yeah,
yeah.
but once we're running out of time. But once that field got lined for the game that night, you would never, because it was
Exactly.
lined beautifully. The batter's box, everything perfect.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys didn't mess with it after that, and
we
you had
didn't.
that respect for
Yeah,
the field.
absolutely.
You'd play your Sandlot all morning, but once they came and lined it,
Yeah,
that was it. That it was all right. We got to go somewhere else.
absolutely.
Well, we just have a couple of more minutes. I just want to say we really can't have a show about North Haven baseball without mentioning Coach DeMeo. You played with him, for him for years, one of the winningest high school coaches
Yeah.
of all time. And I'm sure that Little League back then, as well as the current Max Sinaway Little League, is why the North Haven High School program has had such success for so many years.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
what would happen is that, you know, the framework was there, but then Coach DeMeo came in 1959. And what happened in the ensuing years was that a lot of the guys who played baseball for him, they stayed in town and they coached their kids. So they learned baseball the DeMeo way.
Right.
And, you know, he was a very special coach,
he was
like a
certainly-
second father to me.
Yes, he was my psychology teacher my senior year in high school. All right, we're about ready to wrap up. Mike, I can't thank you enough. We could go on and on talking about baseball. So please, everybody, go to opening day at Max Sinaway on April 26th. And watch the screen for any contact information if you're interested in getting involved. So thank you for joining me tonight on Speaking Freely with Sally. Mike, I hope to see you around. Maybe we'll run into each other at a game.
I'm sure you will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.